Hey guys, how's it going? Companion here. So today I want to talk about a card, Mr. Mulch. Pretty interesting druid card. There was a little bit of hype surrounding this card, but it just hasn't taken off in some of the constructed decks because, turns out druid is a pretty one-dimensional class. With a druid, you play Force of Nature, and then you play this other card called Savage Roar, and then you have a very unfair finish to the game. And all the druid decks in the last few years basically revolve around this mechanic, and this mechanic is encouraged by you being able to push for damage. So a card like Mulch doesn't fit into that playstyle because it doesn't have the option to do damage. All the cards in that type of constructed druid deck make it so, like, you can use a Druid of the Claw as removal if you have to in charge mode, or you can use it to deal damage to face with maybe a Savage Roar, in fact. So all the cards are flexible, all of them can be used aggressively, and all the cards that don't have that option or aren't just ridiculously powerful or just are a minion won't see play. So some people like myself, I was maybe a bit too excited about the card, even though there was quite a bit of doubt in the back of my mind that it wouldn't see play. But it is still a really, really cool card, and I want to talk about it today. So Mulch, you destroy a minion, you add a random minion to your opponent's hand. If you don't know, in Hearthstone, most of the minions are skewed to the lower mana curve. I believe the most minions in the game are in the 2-drop category, followed by like 1 and 3 are about even, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, and then it gets like crazy. And even though a card may have a high mana cost, it doesn't make it good. There's a ton of cards in the game, and very few of them are actually played and constructed. So the value of this card is actually really good. If we do see some kind of different druid deck, yes, there's Mill Druid, and Mulch is pretty good in Mill Druid, but, that's not really a very competitive deck. But if we see a brand new type of Druid deck, I feel that Mulch will actually make the cut, because you just have to consider that if you use Mulch on a big creature, you remove the big creature, the opponent is probably going to get a very small creature, like a 2-drop. Most likely they are going to get a 2-drop. And it's not that they're just going to get a 2-drop, it's that they're just going to get probably a bad 2-drop, because most cards in this game, relative to the cards that are being played and constructed, are completely terrible. So even if they get a high mana card, it might just suck. Like, okay, you gave him a 5-mana card. Congratulations, you just got a Booty Bay Bodyguard. Giving them a card like that basically means that they're going to have to play every single other card in their hand before they play that one. Because, well, the cards he has in their hand besides that one, he intentionally put in that deck. And that means that those cards are generally good for what he's trying to do with that deck, while most creatures you're going to give him are just going to do nothing. So the aspect of giving your opponent a random card is just, not too big of a deal. I compared Mulch to Naturalize. It's a much more tame version of Naturalize. Naturalize is better in some situations, largely because of the mana cost, because sometimes you can push for a lethal combination and you don't have more than 1 mana. For instance, if you do have the Force of Nature Savage Roar combo, which is a 9-mana combo, well, you might only have 1 mana left over. In that situation, if you have lethal by removing a taunt on the board, Naturalize is worlds better than a card like Mulch. But in the general situation, when you play this type of creature removal that gives your opponent some form of card advantage after playing it, Mulch is much more tame and much better unless it leads to an immediate win situation. Because Naturalize, you're not giving them random creatures. You're giving them cards that he deliberately put in his deck, and you're giving him 2 of those. So I would say that giving your opponent 2 cards from his deck rather than a random creature is like 3 to 4 times more punishing. So the mana cost difference doesn't really matter too much because of that, big of a difference in the negative effect. I expect that Mulch might see some play in some transitional druid decks. If people start playing like taunt-heavy combo druids, they might run Mulch instead of a card like Big Game Hunter, because Mulch's original design is to give druids some kind of reliable removal, which is really the only weakness of the druid class. It's semi-reliable, and if people start playing a lot of big creatures with 4, 5, 6, but not 7 or more attack, I think Mulch might actually make it into some competitive play. So it's not too bad. It's not a hopeless card, but stuff does have to change for this card to see play in the future. As for Arena, it is a pretty fun card. I've had the privilege of drafting the card several times now, and the games that I'll show you guys here in just a moment will be of one Arena run that was just a lot of fun, and it really goes to show just how strong Mulch is. You don't use Mulch on a card that costs 3 mana. You use Mulch, in Arena at least, on a card that costs like 6 mana, because in Arena, you just can't afford to have that many late game cards. There's not enough board clears as a proportion to the number of tempo-driven decks. So you need a very well-curved deck or to get an abnormally amount of board clears to actually compete in the high number of wins in Arena, which means that almost any deck in that category is going to have like usually at most like 3 or 4 cards that cost 6 or more mana. If you remove one of them and they get a 2-drop, at that stage in the game, a 2-drop, a 3-drop, a 4-drop, maybe even a 5-drop might be completely meaningless. Because if you are the druid, if you have, let's say, a Boulder Fist Ogre, if you mulch their Boulder Fist Ogre, even if they get like a 5/5, you kill that with your Boulder Fist Ogre, and your Boulder Fist Ogre stays alive. So it makes it so you kind of catch up on the value, and you can use it as a tempo card, even though it's not as powerful as Naturalize in terms of immediate tempo. If they pay 6 mana for a card, you remove it for 3, that is a lot of tempo. So it's kind of like a hybrid removal. It's kind of like a better sap, I would say. And I think because of that reason, because while Druid can win a lot of games because of tempo, it often loses a lot of games because of lack of tempo. It's such a fitting card. It's such a powerful Arena card, especially if you have, some taunt, some big creatures to protect yourselves from the smaller creatures, and you can use cards like Mulch to deny their big creatures. It's such a powerful card, and it's so important that you do draft it when you play Arena. So hopefully you do. Hopefully you check it out. I haven't had too many super insane backfires from the card, but, maybe you have, maybe you'd like to share. But for now, just enjoy some solid mulching in one of my most awesome Arena runs in the last few weeks. Enjoy the clips, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Mulch tempo. It's kind of like a less shitty, what's that card called? Naturalize. It's pretty good. Hasn't backfired too badly, even though I've given my opponents a legendary so far. Your magic shall not save. I just gave him a Wailing Soul, right? MC Tech incoming. Yeah, that's why we didn't want to play the Ironbark.
My shield for Argus. It's getting hot in here.
Well played.
That might be cool to keep, but maybe if I was going second. I need more early game to keep up with the Paladin. Yep, there he is.
Put this apple on your head.
Oh, that's pretty terrifying.
For the wild.
What you want?
Yeah.
For the wild.
Oh yeah, free knife juggler. The value. Fuck.
Engaging TC-130 into dislocator. For the crusade!
I mean, that's what happens when you don't get a 1-drop or a 2-drop. I mean, think about it. I had Worgen Infiltrator in one game, and I had Zombie Chow in one game. I've been pretty fucking unlucky.
Join or die.
I wield the power.
Get back, you scary dogs!
Death to the pretender.
I think that's my best play. I finally caught up on the board from the lack of a 2-drop.
What you looking at?
Oh crap.
For Blackwing. Death to the pretender.
I'm gonna lose versus a ton of cards here. But it is pretty difficult to do 5 damage, so if he pushes for lethal with a True Silver, I'm actually in pretty good shape. He drew a Murloc Knight, just not a Charger, and it's fine. Okay. Okay, that's fine. We got Mulch.
First kill.
That goes there. We mulch. That heals that. That trades there. That goes there. And I'm outside of True Silver range. Alright!
So many viewers.
Did I just not heal face? Yeah. I need the tempo. He obviously didn't have Consecrate, so that 5-1 might as well be a 5-5. I'd rather have 3 less life and have a 5-5 right now. So yeah, I think that's the right decision. Okay, well I got fucked.
Wanna blow something up?
Cause.
Okay, that taunt helps me not lose versus Kings or True Silver.
You're in trouble now.
Reporting for duty.
Oh my god, that's so good. Holy shit, that top deck was sick. I can still lose, but that makes it so instead of guaranteed lose, I am actually threatening lethal in a really good board state.
Well met.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty. To arms, men!
That's not good enough. We actually won this game. He can't kill that taunt. I have lethal.
Well played.
Moderately lucky. Okay, we'll keep the 2-drop. Got that guy again.
Get in there and fight, maggot! For the wild.
It's a brave, abusive sergeant. Is this really ever gonna be more? I don't think so.
Well met.
I'm playing that so I could tempo harder with the 2-drop at a later turn. I don't think I'm gonna get value off of the Silverhand Regent in this game because I'm behind.
My magic will tear you apart.
Rip. Oh my fucking god.
I'm sorry.
Just lost the mana crystal. You see mid game, the Kvaldi Raider is a 7-drop. I see a 7-drop, an 8-drop, a bad 4-drop on turn 6. And I need to save my...
Runs out on me.
whatever that thing's called.
For a little while, I got a big punch.
Shields up.
Face death. For the wild.
He'd want to save his Trog. If he wants to save his Mana Worm, he has to also play a spell. And then, in that case, even if he played a spell, he'd still want to save his Trog. So...
What you want?
I wield the power.
yeah, I drew one of my 3 dragons. That's pretty good, I guess.
You call that a weapon?
That's pretty bad.
I enjoy raiding. For the wild.
I got this.
Proof is my shield.
It's pretty bad, but we got pretty lucky here.
High tide.
Take a walk on the wild side.
For the wild.
Okay. But really important that we made that attack last turn. Oh, wow. That card is not okay. We do have to mulch, I believe.
Born to be wild.
What do we give him?
Does not discriminate.
Kazan's okay.
The frost wolves stand ready.
That's a bit less than okay.
For the wild.
Born to be wild.
You call that a
Wow, that's really powerful. No, you cannot Starfall face. It's not lethal. I can't believe we actually won after getting a Darnassus Ass Pirate from Shredder. That's really, really bad.
Time runs out on me.
Your opponent left.
Wow.